All right, let us begin. So hello, everybody, just us three today. Um, and we wanted to review the council survey responses, and I'm kind of wondering, like, this is our first time looking at this, so how should we review it?
Well, we can do it whatever way you want. My suspicion is that we will not get into making any decisions tonight, so you have time
Yeah.
to review them. I simply wanted to show you what we had to date. We had 5 of the 7 council members respond so far. They were sent an email yesterday where I told them essentially, we would like their response before tonight, but it was not a hard deadline, and so if they still wanted to provide feedback after tonight, they were free to do so, and please do so. The answers are open-ended, so you certainly can read them. When you get sort of the data question on page 6, there's some hard sort of numbers there, I guess. Hard to say. There's not a lot of data because there's only 7 council members, but out of the items that were on that list, 3 of the 5 respondents said increased salary, 2 said low income stipend, and 2 said childcare assistance. We'll talk about the interviews later, but one thing I would like to know is there seems to be some comment about the API and the low income stipend, so it may be an issue that you want to delve into a little more when you meet with them. 3, and then on the next page, basically 3 of the council members were interested in an interview. 2 are available to do so next week on September 25th. 1 would like an interview, but is not available on either the 25th or October 2nd. I talked to that individual and I expressed to them that I was going to send them an email to check their availability, and they kind of told me good luck. So, so I don't know if that was humor. It might have been, and I'm sure it was partly humor and partly true. And I haven't emailed that individual, but I have not heard back from them at this point. But I will continue to try to engage with them, and if there's some availability, at some point I can see what you all, if you all are available for that.
Should we continue to talk about the interviews now or wait till later? Because I guess my question would be about remote offering.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering if are they just not available on those dates because they anticipate that being in person, they can't be in person?
I will express that. I don't believe so, but because most of what they do city business wise, there's a remote option, but I will definitely make sure that is the case and see if that changes.
Yeah.
That changes the thought.
Okay.
The 2, so I can say this because they offered their names, the 2 individuals that are available, and I would recommend that you talk about tonight how you would like to approach interviews with them that are available for Tuesday next week on the 20th, or Thursday, I apologize. On the next Thursday, the 25th, are Councilmember Curd and Mayor Thompson. And so we can discuss that if you'd like. That is the gist of it. If the 2 other council members are interested in responding and do so, I will certainly send you an update when I have it. Whether they do or not, I don't know.
It's funny that
There is sorry, went a little off the path here a bit. There is another thing you asked about the last meeting that I didn't suspect that I would get an answer to, and then the city attorney we had a sidebar and I got an answer, but I didn't expect. You had asked if we do decide that we need to go past the 90-day deadline, how does that process work and when would we need to know by? She suggested that it would actually be a resolution on the council's consent agenda item. That does involve some process. If we were going to get that on the agenda for the October 20th council meeting, I really need to know by like October 9th, because we would need to get the resolution drafted and things of that nature. It's not a lot of work, but there is a process with the city clerk's office to get something put on an agenda. And they send out council packets the Thursday before the meeting. And so
You're right.
the hard last minute deadline for me is like Tuesday of that week. Yeah.
Hi, Lauren.
Oh, Lauren's here.
Hi.
Hi, Lauren. I sent you over email, just a few hours ago, the packet. And you should be able to, click on that link and see the full survey results that we have to date. You're on mute.
Right. Yep. Having some audio issues and I couldn't find the meeting invite, so apologies for being late. But yeah, I'll hop in there. I did see the email come through.
Okay.
So we do have that scheduled for the 25th, next Thursday.
Tentatively,
and-
yes.
Okay. Same time. And that would be the only agenda item. And would be like time limit. And then we can discuss.
That's all issues that you guys can discuss and decide. I would recommend that we consider starting our meeting an hour later at 6 p.m. I know that both of these individuals have day jobs. And although I haven't asked them what time would work for them, yet, I do know that they can at least get to thinking by 6 p.m. because that's when the council member meetings start.
Yeah.
But we would extend them an invite and then offer an opportunity for them to tell us if what we proposed didn't work or not.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I think like for in terms of like, is it gonna be just open-ended? Should it be open-ended or should we be asking them? Should we be drilling down based off of the questions that, or the answers that we've got in our survey? Curious what you all think.
I would recommend.
I would.
Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
Okay. Maybe we're going to say the same thing. I would suggest we have another discussion guide. Maybe it's like, I don't think we need to make a whole new one, but just like some sort of outline for what we're going to ask. And maybe it's based on kind of the responses in the survey. I haven't looked at those yet, but I will. I think we should have something rather than having it be open-ended. I think it should be a chance to go deeper kind of into the answers they gave.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, if we were to meet next Thursday at 5, they'll just give us an hour before the meeting. I mean, I will have notes and like questions. I mean, these are somewhat anonymous, I think, or do we know, is it like number 1, is it Mason? All the questions of the 3 are Jenny's. Is that how it's aligned?
That's an interesting question.
Or it's still going to be Kurt and Thompson.
What I could do is I could break them up by Mason, or Mayor Thompson and Councilmember Curry's responses, so you just see their individual responses. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I could do that pretty easily even this evening.
True, but we could also, just do 1 and 4 is, those would be those. I think for each question, after like looking at the, we might have some follow-up questions, yeah. I'm sure all of us will too.
Yeah, if I may, I think I agree with Lauren, and I think one, I want to be cognizant of people's time, so I think we should time limit it. 2, I think we should have some sort of guide, but make it standard. And I think to some extent, I don't think we need to have it disaggregated because I would say that we could just create a few questions based off of the trends that we see.
Mhm.
And that way it still protects, because when they responded to this, it was intended to be confidential,
Mhm. Yeah.
except for the piece that was related to their interview.
Mhm.
So I would like to honor that if we could, and then just
Yeah.
create probably a couple questions and then maybe a third that's just open-ended. Is there anything that you didn't cover that you would like us to be aware of?
Mhm.
And that way maybe it's limited to 20 minutes or a half hour if we want to, but something of that, like would be how I would prefer to approach it, just in the interest of protecting people's confidentiality.
Yes.
For that purpose. And I think we'll be able to see, I've already read through some of it, and I think there are some trends that are similar across the board.
I just want to clarify, anything that's on written paper in regards to the process is public. And if we had a request for specific responses, we would have to provide it.
From each council.
Yeah.
Even though it was designed to be anonymous.
If we had the ability to do that, and we requested, we would have to do it, yes.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm open to whatever the group feels then, because I didn't know that was the case.
I think like just, I think we should just have some homework and read through this and, you know, maybe each have a couple of points that we wanted to ask. And I mean, are we all okay meeting at 5 before the interviews at 6? Do we still want to do that? Or is that or for life for everybody?
I was just gonna say, I think we may have time today
Yeah,
to finalize the questions. I mean, I'm potentially open
okay.
to meet earlier, but I also just want to appreciate people's time.
I will probably have to miss that day for like childcare stuff, but
Yes.
if I be hybrid the other days though, or two.
Yeah, I guess, are there enough of us who can meet at the 6 PM time? I can probably make it work, and it might honestly be easier for me to make it in, but will we have to have a quorum for the interviews?
So, huh. Maybe the city attorney should start coming to these meetings. That's a little bit of a complicated question, but this is a little bit of a complicated process. It's not a usual city process.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do the best that I can here. So when asking the questions that you had about open meetings and public records last night, the city attorney and I reviewed the ordinance and, in talking about this survey, and the gist of it is that the city ordinance is pretty clear that the way that, council members provide input in this process is through public testimony and, public, or the public hearing that we hold, or they can provide testimony in writing, which is what they've done here essentially. So, one of the concerns that was raised by the city attorney is that we don't do things that kind of go outside of that, in the sense of, so if you, as individuals, you can meet and talk with anybody you want, as long as there's not a quorum, and that's your own business, right? I can't advise you, nor would I, on what you do privately. But, yeah, in order for it to be a process of which they provide public testimony, there would have to be 3 people, there would have to be a quorum.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I was just asking to make sure, like, logistically, that we would have enough people at 6 PM.
Yeah.
That's all.
I can be available at 5 or 6, so
Same.
I think we have 3 at least, right? Lauren, you said you could make it.
Yeah, and I think I could even be in person that day if the council person is going to be in person too. Just 6 is easier since it's not right at pickup times.
I will ask them that question and notify you when I know whether they're going to do it in person or whether they're going to do it um, virtually. So it
Cool.
sounds like, I just want to summarize so far, so we're on the same page. It sounds like we're going to have a meeting. We're going to start at 5. You would like some time to talk about what specific questions you were going to ask. And then you'd start the interviews, and I have some questions about how you want to conduct those at 6. And then you meet with the 2 individuals at 6, and be done. But before that, you'd like to send them some sort of guide that kind of lets them know what you will be doing. And so what I would need you to do tonight is sort of tell me what you want to put in that, like what do you want to tell them about what to expect? And the things that was in our guide before when we were discussing this was the amount of time for the interview. I don't think you have to tell them the questions, but the tenor of what you're going to be asking about. I don't know what else, whatever else you had to do.
I was thinking the guide would be more for us, like a discussion guide for us of like what questions we're gonna ask. Sort of similar to what we had before we put it into the survey, and like sort of pull that back out and say, okay, these are the 2 questions from the survey, for example, that we want to dig into with both these folks, or 3 or whatever it's going to be. You know, I don't know if we need to send them anything beforehand. They've already said we're going to interview, and sorry to keep taking the time, but I would prefer if we figured out the questions and all that today so that we can just meet and do the interviews at 6. That would logistically, selfishly be better for me. Especially if we're going to do it in person. So I don't know what else we need to do tonight besides prepare for those.
I would agree with that. I think that we can come up with, again, I think that if you're looking at a 20-minute conversation, especially if there's an open-ended opportunity just for them to say things on the record, I think you would only need 4 or 5 questions total. And that would take the full amount of time. And we could also end early if we allocated, I mean, we could do 15 or 20 minutes, I would recommend, and then if we end early, and then we just wait for the next person. I would think that'd be sufficient.
Yeah.
Would you like some time this evening where you just go individually, read through the questions and come up with your own thoughts, and then we come back together? Do you want to? I'm trying to figure out how to do that in a couple, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Study session.
Yeah, you could say sessions now, but I don't know when.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much our whole agenda today, right? It's like looking through this. We could take 5 minutes per page to like look at them individually. And then,
Yeah.
do we have time for that? Yeah.
Yeah, we've got 5 in there, and some are not as long as others, but
Okay. Yeah, I think we have time. Are you okay with that? We all go through them, we'll read for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And ask if there's any follow-ups for each question. Is that how you want to do it? Does that sound good, Warren?
Yeah, I'm still having trouble finding the questions document. My poor old computer is, so I might have to do it on my phone, but yeah, I'll find them and the 5 minutes sounds good.
no. Oh, it doesn't look like there's someone else in there now, but
yes, it looks like a member of the public's joined us.
Hello.
Okay, we haven't, let's just go ahead and start diving into it. So, let's stick with like 5 minutes for each one. So it's 12:21, 5:26. And
yeah.
pull out some notes for each one. Let us know, Lauren, if you find that or.
I'm sure I
Lauren?
can find it on my phone, and my camera just turned off, so I'm gonna troubleshoot that as well. Technology's not on my side tonight. I apologize.
Lauren, do you have access to your city email? Is that possible to do that right now?
Yeah, I do. I have access to it on my phone. I don't know why, like the attachments are just not working for me. Like I said, this is an old computer, so I'm sure it's me, not anything you did. Yeah, I'll find them.
Did you have to go up to the front? Yeah. See if you had a card. Yeah. No. You tell you a card? Is that all?
Up top.
That person is raising their hand.
Do you have a question?
Peace. Hey. One.
Not working?
All right, so it's 5:26. What is, Will's notes on this question? Large. But you don't need to be where. So it seems it's a little mixed here. There's definitely some comments about, it being like a voluntary like commitment. But that there is a lot of sacrifice on their time, their family, and that it's really, really tight to manage the schedules of the council commitments and the rest of their lives. Um, so yeah, that it does seem like it's most of the responses are seems like the financial side is not really what's pulling them into service, but that that they deserve to earn above minimum wage for the work. I don't have a question per se on that. Does anybody have any other questions on the first question?
I think the thing that jumps out to me based on the response that I see here, several of them mentioned either odd hours, hours during midday to accommodate midday meetings, or things that occur during business hours. And what that means for their participation in employment in other fields in their personal lives. And so I do think that that is worth noting because that's something I wasn't aware of going into this survey, is that there's a requirement that in order to represent the citizens of Bothell well, that they do some of these meetings during the day, which makes it much more difficult to do certain roles in their personal lives. And so I do think that to make people whole and recognize that while the position itself is voluntary, there may be commitments that come along with being elected that are not really voluntary during their schedule. And so I think that's, I don't know if we want to ask a further question related to that, but I think that there is something there to me about about hours during both the workday, but additional hours beyond the workday that it's worth spending some extra time on. And what that means in terms of an opportunity cost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that opportunity cost thing that kind of stood out to me too, where it's like the cost of being on council, the cost of actually going to all these meetings and stuff. Like, I get kind of like trying to think about like what would be the balance of the cost to like what is the compensation, like not necessarily like to make it like worth it because it is like a public service position, but like I guess like what would easing that look like? Is there a way to try to offset some of that cost somehow? But I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I think the first like question or even just, the welcoming statement is like, I would like to know, I mean, they obviously want to do a follow-up interview, right? So I really would like kind of an open-ended, like, what else would you want after looking at the survey, answering the survey? What else do you want us to know? Why, like, why did you want to have a follow-up interview? I feel like there might be something else they would want to share with us. So like having an open. Question there, yes.
Sorry, one other question is coming to mind. Also, just along the line of kind of the opportunity cost. I don't think at a point in the survey, we didn't ask them to quantify what their projected opportunity cost might be. And so to me, that would both include actual expenses, but also that are not covered by their salaries, but also, you know, I think it makes sense if they're only able to work in a part-time role and, you know, comparing that to like a full-time role in their industry,
Yeah.
you know, so I think it's worth asking specifically, can you quantify what the opportunity cost is worth to you? Or what the opportunity cost is of doing this role, or how much you would calculate that for yourself. Cause that would give us an estimate based on, and, you know, on their calculations, what they're losing out on by having to do this and
Right,
most likely another part-time role, right?
right, which would really require a preemptive question, not just a question, are we spraying on them, right? Like, and obviously, people might not want to answer that with a number amount, you know, but it would be a very good question.
I think if we decide on questions tonight,
Yeah,
I recommend we send them to council as soon as possible so they have it, because I would like to give them the offer.
yes,
So I think, to me, and I don't know what the wording would be, but I would like to work on it maybe today if you want, is a calculation, an estimation of their opportunity cost.
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So question 2 is this won't take 5 minutes. So this is just the number of weekly hours dedicated to council.
Should we limit it to like 1 or 2 minutes?
Can I
Yeah.
provide some input on the previous question?
Yeah,
Is that
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my gut is that they're gonna tell you they don't have a clue.
Mhm,
I don't know how they would even begin to do that.
mhm.
Would it be worth asking them also like, so it'll be awkward if you invite them here and they're like, oh no. Right?
Yeah.
How do you, that's your job, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
What if you kind of made the double-edged question about, you know, explaining part of the hard, part of this is quantifying qualitative data and determining what what the actual cost could be or how those could be represented. How do you, I mean, ask them the question you want to ask. What do you think that is worth? And, but then also, um, how do you think we should go about doing that? Like, and see, just see, because give them an opportunity to offer you insight too.
Yeah, tell me what you think your time is worth
Right,
here, right? Like, let's be frank and honest. I mean, really.
okay,
I wonder if we could ask it um, in a way that's like how, like, when everybody thinks about opportunity cost in any context, I think there's always different things that go into that equation. And so I wonder if maybe the way to ask it is like, not how should we think about calculating this, but like, how do you specifically come up with an opportunity cost? You know, like if you ask me that question, I can imagine how I might answer it, right? Well, this is my hourly rate, so if I have to use my PTO and then, whatever, like, or like this means that I'm not able to commit to this specific, if I work in a shift, like I'm unable to do this thing, right? So I wonder if we ask it that way and kind of work into it sort of from their perspective, I think that might actually, it grounds it in like their experience. So I think it'll feel less hypothetical to them and easier for them to talk about. Because we're just asking not how should we do it for everybody. We're just asking like, how do you do it? How do you think about this? That resonates with other people.
That does make sense. They're kind of looking at the quantitative side of the qualitative question, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a number. It can be like,
Right. Yeah,
I feel like this is an executive role and I should be paid, you know, equivalent
exactly.
20 hours of a salaried job of an executive role.
Right.
Or
Exactly. Yeah.
you could also,
Like-
you know, like I'm thinking about the opportunity that like people, counselors might have at the dinner table with their family and like
Right.
negotiating the time commitment, the money commitment,
Right.
the peace of mind, right? Because it's not, it's like you have people harassing you online, like that's also a value that I need to like that holds weight for me.
Yeah.
So,
And,
yeah,
and I think we keep it open-ended and let them like tell us.
yes, open it, yes.
Should we, Lauren, are you able to phrase that question so that we could?
Yeah, someone ready to describe. I won't even attempt to type anything anyway. Computer
Yeah.
is like over a decade old. It's just had work computers all the last decade. So this poor thing is just
Do you want
just
to
barely
take the-
holding on. Okay. So I think the way I would ask this would be, honestly, I don't think it has to be too complicated. I think we just say something like, tell me about how you, I think we could like, tell me about how you think about opportunity cost for yourself. So, and I think we may have to give an example here, like, you know, and we can even say like in the survey, we heard from people that they recognize there's an opportunity cost, but we want to know like for you, what do you put into that equation? Is it your hourly rate at work? Is it time spent with your family? Something else? And then just let them go from there.
Okay. I like that. And I like the first question of what else do you want us to know?
Mhm.
Yes.
And
Oh,
do
yeah.
you want a follow-up interview?
Mhm.
I think that's two questions, and
Mhm.
I would say no more than two or three more,
Yeah,
given the
Yeah.
time.
yes, yes.
Okay,
Agreed.
okay, should we move on to question three?
Yeah, yeah.
Or actually,
well,
sorry, what's
two,
question two?
two. So it looks like just from looking at this, we have anywhere from 14 to 25. Right? Like that. There's some other, to drill down a little bit,
That's how it came up with 19 hours last time.
Yeah,
Just
I was gonna
basic.
say
The
math.
bottom and top of all those ranges and the flat ones, and we averaged them and came up with 19 hours.
Yeah.
We also have,
Yeah.
Because the commission didn't know what else to do.
well, we also have, I believe, from, I'm not a teacher, but the mode, which
Oh.
would be 20, right?
oh, I do history, so
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
terrible at math, yeah.
But isn't the 20 seems to appear the most to me, 4 times.
Yep.
So I think the mode is 20.
Okay.
and I think when you're thinking about part-time work, that's the number I come up with, 20 hours.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, so let's move on to question 3. You have to vacation time away from work to perform your council duties. It's a little shorter, so let's just let's give it 3 minutes on this.
okay.
Good.
Okay. Right, vacation time. That made me a little sad reading these, to be honest. Thinking about like, you know, working all year. And your part-time job, you know, is taking away your vacation. But like it also made me like there was like a couple no's, there's 2 no's, 3 yeses on no, I don't have to take vacation time, and 3 yeses. Yes, I do have to take vacation time to perform council duties. And like thinking about like, oh my gosh, Washington, traveling to Washington DC, Olympia, and not like, and then also having the relationships you have at, you know, both counties. Wow, it's like a lot. But then it made me also think the no's made me think like, okay, that like there's like equities coming to mind and the privilege that you that is expected, I guess, is the norm to be already like, oh, this is just part of it. This is, you should just deal with it. This is the norm of being a counselor and serving the public. I don't know, it's interesting to see that, like, because it's like, you know, what the no comment, one of the comments, the no side was, we are part-time council members. No one expects us to be at every event, activity, and non-council meetings. But I expect to see my city councilors around the city. I don't know, like, I expect them to put in extra time. I'm going to vote for the person that puts in extra time. And as opposed to someone who's just bare minimum. I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of fascinated by that too, because it's like got me kind of thinking like, what do we use to evaluate the effectiveness of a council member? Because it's like there isn't this expectation to be like every event, which makes sense, but like, what actually is the expectation then? And I guess I was kind of wondering with that combining with like response 4, like, do we lose out by council members not being able to attend events like that versus like other forms of networking? And I guess, yeah, that kind of just led me to the question, like, if we were to interview and ask about this, like, what does it mean to you to be an effective, like, council member? Yeah.
Lauren, are you not, are you muted by me or you? Okay.
What? Sorry,
I
I'm
was.
muted. I just,
Go
can
ahead,
you hear
Lauren.
me okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I raised my hand just because I wanted to listen, but I didn't want to forget that I had something to say. So meta observation, I think we're obviously seeing a pretty clear sort of 3-2 split in the theme of the answers, which is interesting as we've been observing, but I think it's worthwhile, like now that we've read through a few questions together, reflected on them, saying like, okay, we've got kind of 2 different mental models, I think. I don't know that they're conflicting, but they're just different mental models about what it means and how these folks think about the council as a thing and a thing that they participate in. So that is interesting. I'm not, no question that I would want to follow up on these. Like this specific question is coming to mind. If I'm being honest, I mean, I'm not opposed to one. I'm just this to me, this one, and even the next one to an extent, I kind of read ahead a little bit, like, are both making me think like, okay, there's clearly 2 things here. And at some point, we are gonna have to come back to like what are the principles that we're following. I think we talked about this a little bit last week, that maybe like what we're trying to do to create equity, as you were saying, is like we're trying to, it's interesting that there is a point of view that like I am doing this from a place of service and I have the capability to do that, which is wonderful and lovely. But equity means that the folks who maybe don't have that ability and don't look at it that way are also able to participate. And so in the theme of what we were talking about last week, if what we're looking to do is get up to a certain level of compensation, because there is a mental model of folks who see this as a big commitment, as impacting them, that's kind of what I'm taking from these responses. I don't know that there's necessarily like more I want to know here. I think I'm already starting to see a pattern in these 2. So it's good data. I'm just not sure if I'm seeing a follow-up question.
I feel the same way, Lauren. I think, and I'm noticing the trends too. And I think, related to the response of number one, which says that this person's able to adjust their job work schedule, which is, I think, valid and pertinent information for that individual, but not everybody has that capability to be able to
Exactly.
adjust schedule. I guess the question that's kind of reverberating in my mind related to this and the trends that you're talking about is asking, do you feel that your official responsibilities or what is expected of you as a public official um, could prevent others who may not have flexibility in their personal lives from participating?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, follow-up.
I think that to me is what I'm seeing is that um, people are saying that, yeah, they can participate it's a calculus that they have to think about. But I'm curious for the people that don't have that privilege and that flexibility, is it like in these folks' minds, is that a barrier?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
good call out.
I would just ask a question about, do you feel like the official and unofficial responsibilities of a council member make it difficult for those who don't have flexibility in their personal lives or personal jobs?
Yeah.
Per person.
That's good. Yeah, that's great. And I,
Can you say that again?
Do you feel that your official and unofficial responsibilities as a council member uh, prevent access for people that don't have flexibility in their personal lives? And it sounds to me like the answer is yes, but I would love to explore that a
Yeah.
little more.
yeah. And it does seem like you were talking about that, Lauren, but the mental models, I really wanted to like start thinking about, yeah, like having the diversity of, equity on the council. And thinking about how can we frame a question that, I mean, the council put together the overall goals of the city, right? So the comprehensive plan, and then equity is one of them. Am I correct? It's equity, right? So how can we frame a question that I guess supports that, or maybe helps us understand how they see equity through the salaries of commission?
Yeah.
So maybe you all can help me with something like that as we move on. So
I hate to keep interrupting. You're on a roll, but I want to just make sure that I get the questions right. Then again, I'll go back and re-ask you and you can say, no, you got it completely wrong. But I did some editorial just for clarification purposes on the question that Dennis asked. So I want to make sure that it's okay. What I heard was, or what I wrote down, that's not exactly what I heard. Do you feel your official and unofficial duties as a council member limit access to the position to individuals that don't have flexibility in their personal lives?
Yeah.
And then do you want to ask like why or why not or something?
Please explain.
Yeah, got it. Okay. That's good. Please explain.
Yes.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Please explain.
Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's 5:52. This next one has some longer responses, so let's do a 57 on this. So what are the personal and professional impacts of and expense of being a council member, and to what extent does current compensation reflect this? How has serving affected your ability to maintain employment, advance in your career, or manage other responsibilities?
Gabby, please.
Been doing sorry.
Is there any way to have them hear a question if they had one? Because it seemed like they tried to raise their hand, but
So two things, three, so thank you for asking that. So a couple of things happen. Number one, if the public wants to speak during a public meeting, usually there's a time where there's.
Yeah.
So maybe in the
Yeah.
future we do that, just, but we haven't ever needed it in the past, so.
Mhm.
Other than the public hearing, and we haven't really needed at the public hearing either, by the way. And so, I did recognize her and asked her a question, and she looked like she was trying to talk,
Mhm.
but it was disconnecting. And then you were going down the path of doing your work, which is the primary purpose of the meeting. I was just trying to be polite, but
Yeah.
so I kind of cut it off at that point, and then there was some talking in the background, so I asked Ann to mute her.
Mhm.
But she raised her hand and we asked her again if she had a question. And, and then, I'm assuming she's a she, but and the reason that I'm assuming that is because I don't know if it's the same individual that we had at our first meeting. Yeah,
I'm just wondering if, since this is recorded, if that individual chooses to watch the recording,
yeah,
is there something that we can share now? So that they can provide maybe written feedback if they want?
Yes.
Is there an email or, should we just encourage them to come to the public meeting?
yeah. So I'll just say out loud, they are free to, anyone that is listening or watching a YouTube video is free to email me, Matthew Pruitt. I'm the Employee Technology Services Director. And my email is Matthew, MATHEW .Pruitt, PRUITT @BothelWA.gov.
Thanks. That way we can welcome the feedback in case they have technical difficulties.
Yeah, good idea.
Thanks. Should we give a further question?
Yeah, let's go. I mean, I think I'm done, so, so also aligned along that same mental model. Very vast differences, severe, high impact, and expenses. It's honestly like hard to read, like this is really hard to do it, not even minimum wage, like I don't understand this. It is just like, doesn't make me ever want to run for office, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So kind of scary to know that people are harassing you, and having to hire attorneys, and it's like this, yeah, it's a little scary. I don't know if I have a necessarily question, but I just was really shocked to read that.
Well,
Responses.
just a clarifying. I'll look at the data and provide you an exact number next week. I'm not sure where the minimum wage, comment is coming from. The commission a year ago, when they came up with their salary, it was around $19 an hour is what they basically, that's how they times the 19 hours that I was talking about early.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to clarify that and not, I don't think the comments in the survey are about the exact dollar amount. I think it's a general statement, but
Yeah,
I just wanted to clarify that.
right, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about that too, I was like trying to do the mental math, like,
Yeah.
what is it actually per hour? Any other comments or follow-up questions on this one?
I'll say two things real quick. I think one is.
Yeah.
Definitely a number of these things are unfortunate and certainly things I didn't wish exist in our public sector at all or related to public service, but I also don't see them necessarily as things that we as a salary commission can address.
Mhm.
So like the threats, et cetera, those are not things that I would put within our purview. I think the thing that stood out to me is in response to, the individual said time isn't free. And I do think of time as a very valuable commodity. Um, and so I do see that as a part of our purview, which is, you know, putting a value on time.
Mhm.
And I think that gets to the earlier questions that we were working on for the interview. So I don't feel like I have any additional questions on this page, but just want to highlight that a lot of this is very unfortunate, but I don't think is in our purview.
Yeah. But it is important to know like the impact though, the of being a counselor. Yes. The next question.
Sorry, can
Lauren?
I? Yeah, I wanted to just add one more thing. Like, I agree that with what everyone said about, the sort of the like safety, or someone specifically said mental health. Like, these things aren't anything we can solve, but I think we can acknowledge that, like, I'm not saying this is a thing that happens, but let's say I'm a person who decides like I want to seek out some like support from a mental health professional for the first time, right? Maybe other things are going on in my life, but like also counsel is really stressful. Or like maybe I decide I'm going to do something different that adds a cost to like make myself feel more safe. So it's not that we are saying like, here's your safety stipend or something, but like I think it's worthwhile to acknowledge that like the compensation might not necessarily be used just to make up for like missed wages or like the normal sort of transaction of my time for money that we do, all of us in our jobs. But also just like, you know, I think it's worth acknowledging that expenses may be introduced into a person's life as a result of being on council, whether they be things like childcare, transportation costs. But I think we're seeing here, like, maybe people need to take care of themselves in another way. And so I think it just sort of adds to we're not, like, we will at a point have to get to like, here's an hourly rate, or here's a stipend. But like, I think it's worth acknowledging that like, there are going to be things that are just sort of outside of the normal transactional relationship of doing a job and being paid for it, um, in this case. So, no other question I would add. I just think that's kind of pointing us in that direction, the way I'm reading it. I was not expecting these responses, even
Yeah.
in the, like, the way I was like, wow, that was not a leading question to my mind. And people took it every which way, which is, I think, to me, the sign of a good question. But yeah, it was really interesting to see that trend.
All right, the next question 5, what are the most
So-
challenging parts? Go ahead.
Can I clarify, there's no additional questions based upon that discussion?
No.
Okay, got it.
What are the most challenging parts of balancing council service with your personal and professional life? Let's do a couple minutes on this. So 5. Okay. Any notes on this question?
I thought it was kind of interesting that someone saw the salary as like tied directly into like staying in Bothell or to help with like transitioning career roles to stay at like as part of the council. So it's kind of interesting how they were discussing like specifically how they were using like the council salary. I don't know, just kind of maybe kind of consider my thinking there, but Yeah. I don't have a question specifically to that, but
One thing I'll point out, on question 5 or response 5, was about the 80% AMI bonus council stipend threshold.
Yeah.
And I skipped ahead a little bit too, so, my apologies, but it does look like, in a later question, there's some ideas related to the stipend, so I feel like maybe a question I'm thinking could unite a couple of pieces of this, which is, how do you view something about, volunteer stipend versus including it in the salary itself without having it be an elected option. But that's getting a little bit ahead. But I guess that was what jumped out to me in that situation was the AMI stipend. And it looks like this person was not even eligible for it because
yeah,
it wasn't low enough for some.
Oh, I've had to negotiate jobs like that, like I need to be in the certain sweet spot to get state health insurance, I can't take this job or I need to be, there's a lot of negotiating you have to do and sacrifices. Yeah, it's really interesting how directly connected it is to their job choices. Yeah, and how, also, that it's really interesting to me about like how being a council member, really the political position of being a council member actually will affect your job a lot. I didn't really think about that until being on the session.
I certainly appreciate that. I think, my individual preference would be to kind of just steer us towards what's the most accessible and equitable way of compensating people, because those are some things that we can't, I also think is a little bit outside of our purview because we can't really influence that. And it's also something I don't think we can solve.
Yeah.
So I guess my preference would be to like focus on making the tools that we can influence accessible. And then, I mean, and so, I just want to be clear too, there's some council members that feel that's not an issue, right? So like, we also need to take that into consideration too.
Yeah.
So did I
would like to develop a question related to the additional benefits of stipend, but I think that gets to later questions, so nothing on this page, but for me. I'm not sure about the rest.
Yes, I think, question about the stipend, because what we did discuss previously about having that kind of built-in stipend with the opt-out option. Curious what people think about that. I feel like it's a kind of a way of simplifying a lot of those, like, the little benefits that are in there. I'd rather it just be like all here, take it or you don't. But I'm also open to.
I really like that because of the two mental models we've got going here. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody gets it. And you can decide if you feel that you are like coming to this from a place of service and you're like, I don't want to take that money. I want that money to stay in the city budget and be used for other things. And that can be your personal decision. And if you're someone who's like this, like this, for whatever reason, and they don't need to justify it or prove anything, I can take it. I think that's actually a really elegant solution to these kind of two mental models, and sort of doesn't make one more, doesn't elevate one or the other, right? It sort of lets people decide what being on the council means to them and what they need in their lives, and then everybody gets to choose. And we, it's not like we make the, obviously, we have to do our part here too, and not make the stipend like outrageous so that it's an actual burden on the budget. And we'll get to those numbers in due time. But I actually think that could be a really good solution to the sort of, again, dichotomy that we're seeing here. I don't know if we want to ask a question around that. That would be a little leading, I think, but I think we're working towards that as a potential good solution here based on the data we've got so far.
Sorry, I really like this conversation. I think we should ask a question about it. In the interest of time, I'd encourage us to move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more about,
Fair.
like, look at that data together. And I think we can do it quickly because I already jumped ahead and it's not that much to digest. But I
Yeah.
think we can have a conversation about that outcome and then form a question that encapsulates what we're talking about. So you want to take a look at that?
Yeah, let's look at the next question.
Go for it.
I think those two floating questions that we need to like refine, maybe through looking at the next questions, is like one about equity, one about the stipends, right?
Yeah.
So like those two, I would like to have as a
Great.
last. So the question 6 is, are there aspects of compensation, salaries, benefits, stipends, reimbursements that you believe are essential to attracting and retaining effective and diverse council members? We could just look at this. It's all.
I don't think we need to talk through this one.
Yeah, we can just process this together. Well, yeah, I mean, increased salary, yeah. That's important. That's an important, the biggest one,
I think,
5%.
for me, getting to kind of what we were just talking about, and I think looking at this data is really helpful because it highlights increased salary, low income stipend, and childcare assistance as like 3 tools that are useful. I think, there are some others that some people had interest in, and there's one person that doesn't think we should use this to attract or retain. And I think I would side with not like, I don't think that should be our goal, is to attract and retain. I think it should, in my opinion, just be a fair reflection of, what we're asking them to do. And I guess I would say that, to me, increased salary, low income stipend, childcare assistance, all that can be solved with a bundled payment that includes additional, that builds in some of that. And then I agree with kind of that option of opting out if people want to give it back, some of it back. So I guess, I guess I would ask, should we develop a question about, does it make sense, in your opinion, to bundle some of these additional programs together? And would that make a difference for you? And would you support the opportunity to opt out? And just asking that pretty directly, because I think we share, it sounds like we share the idea that could be a good model.
Yes.
And so I think it's worth asking them and getting their feedback on that model.
Yeah, and this is really super important for me to look at. I mean, I thought maybe more people would be opting into healthcare and retirement.
I do too.
Or, so it doesn't seem like it's as important as I thought it would be. And you were mentioning that there needs to be, is it 5 of the 7 need to be enrolled in the program? Right, so it doesn't seem like that should be a factor in the compensation. Yes.
But I just like to announce some things too. There's lots of ways to provide a benefit. In fact, I would encourage you to look at there's one city that does. I mean, this list of benefits came from one city.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
yep.
I don't wanna beat around the bush. Like, I wish I could tell you there was a more scientific way to get the information, but there's not enough out there. And the city of Kirkland, was, that's the example, and that's where the list came from. much of what they do is in stipend form, like, so could say they're eligible for healthcare benefits.
Mhm.
And that would imply that they would have to meet all the rules and requirements of our city benefit provider, in which case half of them would have to enroll in the plan. Or you could say, we're going to give you an additional stipend of this amount in lieu of healthcare benefits. So there's lots of ways to skin how you want to talk about that.
Okay.
You could say you're just going to get an additional stipend and that covers whatever it is that you think it should. You know, I mean, there's lots of ways to sort of split that up. Or you could single them out like Kirkland does.
Yeah. Okay.
In my opinion, I think by specifying a stipend, it can be inherently limiting depending on how you draft that. So, you know, my preference would be to grant as much flexibility so that can be utilized for different things. And if somebody chooses to use additional benefit for purchasing, you know, their own private health insurance, then I think that's terrific. And it sounds like some people might want to contribute to their own retirement, whether it's, you know, in their personal IRA or what have you. So I think it gives the flexibility. They could also utilize it for transit benefits. And I personally think that having some sort of opt out, if people want to return that to taxpayers and to the city, is a good way of balancing both perspectives. So I would support a question that asks, you know, what is your opinion of of combining some of these additional benefits into salary? And what is your opinion of an opt-out clause for participants or for council members?
Are you saying that's two separate questions or one question where we ask like either or neither?
Just one question. I mean, do you support?
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a compound question. But
Yeah.
I think us at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm imagining like something like, you know, we see that there's diverse thoughts on how to structure compensation. We're considering either an open-ended stipend or stipends for specific expenses, or bundling it all into salary. What are your thoughts? Something like that. Kind of multiple choice, but in person.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Okay.
Do you want to pause for a minute to see if Matthew
Yes.
can reflect your question, Lauren? Because
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't warn. I just said,
Actually, what imagine you do a better place to write. Lauren, can you say that again?
yeah. So we heard diverse perspectives from council on ways to think about compensation. We're considering either an open-ended stipend or a stipend for specific services, both of which would be opt-out, and or just bundling it all into salary. What are your thoughts on these options? We could say like, we could also say, what do you think would be most effective? But I'm kind of interested to just leave it as open as possible and just let them go.
Yeah, and they would, you know, I think this is a good opportunity for them to mention to us, maybe things, something we're not considering, you
Yeah,
know, against the bundle idea.
yeah. I mean, anything. That's why I think like lay it out. These are the three things we're considering. What do you think?
Mhm.
I think
think-
that too also, sorry, I was just gonna say, I think doing something like that and providing it to them ahead of time will probably actually be like an incentive to like show up ready to think about those, like talk about those things. So that could be an argument for sending the guide ahead of time.
Thank you. for clarifying those questions. Appreciate it.
And you want to ask a low income stipend specific question?
I think that was one of the options that you had suggested, Lauren, which is, would you support a stipend option in addition that has an opt-out? So as opposed to
Yeah.
being an opt-in stipend, an opt-out stipend, which could include a number of, yeah. So I think that would be the second option that Lauren had described.
Yeah,
You could put in parentheses, including low income.
yeah, exactly. I think if we say it's open-ended, then if you're opt-out, then it doesn't actually really, the intention might be to like replace lost wages, but if it's open-ended, then I don't know that it even really matters. Like we're kind of saying like, here's this money, decide what you need to support you in serving the public in this role.
Yes. All right, our last question, with answers, is there anything else you want the salary commission to consider before making a decision? So let's, just take a couple minutes on this one. Okay. Do we need more time or? Okay. You wanna start?
Yeah, I guess. Kind of big thing is like for the third response, they specifically talk about like equitizing like the retirement benefit. I guess just kind of wondering like what would that look like? So would it just be providing that 5.58% to the 457 account? Like I'm not sure how that works. Like, yeah.
Pension benefit isn't that percentage back, it's like social security, where
Okay.
you fill a bucket and you get a benefit.
Yeah.
Percentage back at the end, if
Okay.
you're vested. Not dollar for dollar.
Gotcha. Okay.
I had a similar question. I'm wondering if maybe we can just get more information on
Yeah.
that for a future,
More information about,
exactly like what the cost would be to do that and what exactly how that would look.
Yeah.
I don't fully understand exactly what this response is asking for and how I'm not super familiar with either the current pension or.
what response are we pointing to?
Question 7, number 3.
The state pension, if they make a certain dollar amount, they're qualified. If they choose to do it, we have to contribute, they have to contribute.
Oh,
So they could potentially have pension and deferred comp right now.
so sounds like that they may be misunderstanding the program, I guess, or.
And what is it?
Yeah, okay.
I think there's some confusion, yeah.
What is the deferred comp?
Deferred comp is like a 401k, so 457 is public sector 401k essentially.
Gotcha, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, so he's basically, the commenter is basically asking to participate in a deferred comp match. I mean, that's the gist of it, right?
So it sounds like.
It's like they want
Right now, the city
deferred comp
contributes
match.
5.5 to the pension for council members who refuse to use it, however, they do not contribute anything to 457 deferred comp. Yeah, so employees have a deferred comp match, most, not all, depends, like some labor groups have negotiated something else. But like non-represented employees, and other bargaining units get a match. So once you've been here for 5 years, instead of just you individually contributing deferred compensation, the city will match up to 2%. So if the employee puts in 2%, the council member will, or the city will put in 2%. And so I think what this individual is saying is there something you can contribute to the deferred comp program? You could do that in a number of ways. You could do a flat dollar amount. You could do it as a percentage of their stipend. You can make them eligible for the non-represented deferred comp match program. It would depend on how you would want to design that to determine the cost. I would say their stipend is not, their current compensation is what?
1730 a month, council members.
It's 70. Is that right?
That's what it just. But
I think that's the old number. Okay, but anyways, it would be a percentage of a small. So for no more than 7 individuals, so the cost factor of that is not great.
Only what they
Okay.
contribute though would
Correct.
be matched.
Sorry?
Only what they contribute up to a certain amount could be matched, right?
Yes,
And it's 2% for
Yeah.
city employees?
yeah,
Okay, so it'd be. Okay, so the highest it could be would be 2% of the monthly salary.
yeah.
Okay,
Or you could decide to do 3% or 4%. You could do anything that you want, but if you did it like it is for employees, it would be like a 2% match, yeah. But I should be clear though, too, like the further you go in your career, that match goes up. So if you go to 10 years, then it goes up to 3%. If you go to 15 years, it goes to 4%. If you go to 20 years, it goes to, I believe, up to 5%. I think that's the limit.
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a years of service thing.
Yeah.
So he's inferring that it should match the current, the 5.58. So the deferred compensation should be 5.58. Is that what he
and the
means?
5.58, that's.
Well, I don't know if it's a he, I don't know if it's a he or a she. But, the only retirement benefit they approved last year right now, city council approves them. So the 5.58% is to the deferred, no, the 5.58% he is speaking of is to the PERS, Department of Retirement Systems Retirement Plan. Their salaries got to a level with the 33% increase they got last time
Mhm.
that they qualified for the state retirement program. So he's saying you contribute to the state program, which we do, and if that 5.58% is determined by law, you can't change it. It is what the law says. And then, but for the deferred comp match program, which is the second retirement program, it's just whatever the council member wants to contribute. It's not, the city doesn't contribute to it.
Okay.
And that issue has been discussed with every salary commission, and every salary commission has said, we don't want the additional cost on the city, and so we're just gonna leave it as it is.
Okay.
But it's not like it's just been, it has been a discussion.
Yeah.
It's not just been a,
I know we're right at time. For the next discussion session that we have, could we maybe get like a matrix of like just doing them, modeling out like, okay, let's say we did this exactly like it is for other employees, like what would this, like given the, tenure, let's say we had a mix of council people with this amount of tenure, like what would it actually cost to do that? Or has that already been done and we can just look at it from a past year?
yeah. I don't know that we could do that next time. I don't know that we could put that together in a week. But
Okay.
yeah, we provided that to you at some point. But again, it would depend if you change their monthly compensation.
Yeah, sure.
But we could
Yeah.
do a model where if you typed in a number, it would show. I think we can do that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
not-
just something, and I don't know, sorry, I don't want to make it a big thing because I'm not even sure. I just want to like, right now it still feels very nebulous and abstract and also it's 6:30. So just trying to see if like, is there a way we can make this more concrete?
Yeah, I also wanted to highlight that issue because I'd like to get just a little bit more information out of town. And then just in the interest of time, I support the question related to equity. I think the response 4 says, the current council members are paid the equivalent, like minimum wage, which excludes for any members of our community. And so I think that is pointing directly to equity, so I'm just wondering if there's a way we can phrase a question about how do we prevent people from being excluded, essentially.
Yeah.
Because I think that speaks to that point and would be our last question.
Right, should there be like a leading question to that, like, since the council decided that equity was going to be one of the, what are we calling it, the values of the vision, what is the city? Oh,
The comp plan or,
the values of the city, they're like an elevator.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
What are we calling this? We're calling the priorities, the
Values.
the value priorities of the city are equity among others.
Yeah.
And then kind of put that question in, that you had outlined.
I think maybe how can the salary commission enhance equity that does not exclude members of our community?
Okay, yeah, cool, yes.
And then we'll try and schedule 2 interviews next week at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
And that's when we'll start our meeting.
So do you want to do individual interviews? Or do you want to do, technically, I mean, the public meeting requirements are met, you could do them both at the same time.
I think both at the same time.
Sure.
I
Yeah, right. at 6.
yeah, maybe they can bounce my, like, oh, yeah. That's
yeah,
fine.
that'd be
I would
cool.
I would like to see.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna word it that you're invited to a study session of the salary commission. Based upon the information you gave us in the survey.
Yeah.
Here's your questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming, given the timing of this, you're okay if I editorialize?
Yes.
As long as I'm not changing substance?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Okay,
and we will meet at 6 and our
Yeah.
only order of business will be the interview.
Can you have?
Yeah.
yes,
And then I guess the only other thing would be, we'll check with the additional council members if we're able to do it remotely or have them participate remotely,
yes, I
either of
will,
those 2 weeks.
absolutely,
And then if not, maybe ask for alternative dates.
yes,
Okay,
okay,
Cool.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Sorry, just before I have one more question.
Oh, yeah.
go ahead.
Are we
Hi.
also gonna confirm that the folks on the 25th are gonna be in person or remote? Because that'll probably decide if they're remote, I'm probably gonna stay remote, but if they're gonna be there, then I'll.
I will put that in the email that I send them by no later tomorrow, and when I learn, I will tell you what it is.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to tell them that there's a time limit? Like an hour-long interview, a half hour?
I think if we do it together, I would say a half hour. If we do them individually, like 20 minutes. Would be my preference.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's gonna go over.
Maybe 45
Now
minutes.
yeah, let's say 45.
45, 6 to 6:45.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. I can do that.
We're adjourned.
Oh, yeah, we got,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, you're adjourned, sorry, I'm hacking up.
There you go. You're the list here when they're adjourned.
Just throw it off. If you did,
Thanks
okay.
all.
I just,
Okay, one more question.